All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Naresh Margo. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to deliver keynote address at third Leadership Summit of US-India Strategic and Partnership Forum today. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh reaches Russia to attend Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defence Ministers Meet. Cabinet approves Mission Karma Yogi, National Programme for Civil Services Capacity Building. Government says it is ready to reply to unstarred questions during monsoon session of Parliament, and Centre announces guidelines for resuming metro operations from 7th of September. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the keynote address at the third Leadership Summit of US-India Strategic and Partnership Forum, US-ISPF, today. US Vice President Mike Pence addressed the summit on Monday. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal have also addressed the summit earlier this week. More from our correspondent.
The 5-day summit, titled India-US Week, Navigating New Challenges, highlights areas of Indo-US bilateral cooperation including in trade and investment, strategic energy ties, collaboration in fintech, healthcare, technology, and India's position in global supply chains. The theme covers various subjects such as India's potential in becoming a global manufacturing hub, opportunities in India's gas market, ease of doing business to attract FDI in India, common opportunities and challenges in tech space, Indo-Pacific economic issues, innovation in public health, and others. The US remained India's top trading partner for the second consecutive fiscal in 2019-20. Anupam Mishra, AI News, Delhi.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has reached Russia to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defence Ministers Meet. The defence ministers of all 8 SCO member nations are expected to deliberate on regional security challenges like terrorism and extremism and ways to deal with them collectively in Moscow tomorrow. Mr. Singh is visiting Moscow at the invitation of Russian Defence Minister General Sergei Shoigu. During his 3-day visit, Mr. Singh will also take part in the meeting of Collective Security Treaty Organization CSTO and Commonwealth of Independent States CIS. The Defence Minister said in a tweet that he will be meeting his Russian counterpart General Shoigu to discuss bilateral cooperation and issues of mutual interest. He said India and Russia are privileged strategic partners and he is looking forward to further this partnership during the visit. Russia has also invited External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to attend the SCO Foreign Ministers meeting on the 10th of this month.
The government has blocked 118 mobile apps, including PUBG, which are prejudicial to the sovereignty and integrity of India, defence of India, security of state and public order. The move will safeguard the interests of crores of Indian mobile and internet users. This decision is a targeted move to ensure safety, security and sovereignty of the Indian cyberspace. The 118 banned mobile apps include PUBG Mobile Nordic Map, Livik, PUBG Mobile Lite, WeChat Work, WeChat Reading, Cyber Hunter, Life After and Warpath. The decision to ban such apps was taken by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology as it has received many complaints from various sources, including several reports about misuse of some mobile apps available on Android and iOS platforms for stealing and surreptitiously transmitting users' data in an unauthorized manner to servers which have locations outside India. The cabinet chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given its nod to Mission Karma Yogi, National Programme for Civil Services Capacity Building. The scheme will lay the foundation for capacity building for civil servants so that they remain entrenched in the Indian culture while they learn from the best practices across the world. Mission Karma Yogi aims to prepare the Indian civil servants for the future by making them more creative, constructive, imaginative, innovative, proactive, professional, progressive, energetic, enabling, transparent and technology-enabled. Briefing the media yesterday, Union Minister Prakash Javadekar said the Karma Yogi scheme will be the biggest human resource development program of the government.
भर्ती होने के बाद विभिन्न कर्मचारी अधिकारी उनकी लगातार क्षमतावर्धन कैसे हो, कार्यक्षमता कैसे बढ़े और वो प्रभावी कैसे साबित हो, इसके लिए क्षमतावर्धन का एक लगातार कार्यक्रम चलेगा और उसका नाम कर्मयोगी योजना है। और 21वीं सदी का सरकार के मानव संसाधन सुधार का एक बहुत बड़ा ये सुधार कहला जाएगा और लोगों की अपेक्षाओं पर खरे उतरने वाले अधिकारी तैयार करना इसका मूल मकसद है।
The institutional framework will consist of Prime Minister's Public Human Resources Council, Capacity Building Commission, Special Purpose Vehicle for owning and operating the digital assets and the Technological Platform for Online Training and Coordination Unit headed by the Cabinet Secretary. The Public Human Resources Council, comprising select union ministers, chief ministers, eminent public HR practitioners, thinkers, global thought leaders and public service functionaries, will serve as the apex body for providing strategic direction to the task of civil services reform and capacity building. The Capacity Building Commission has been proposed with a view to ensure a uniform approach in managing and regulating the capacity building ecosystem on collaborative and co-sharing basis. To cover around 46 lakh central employees, a sum of 510.86 crore rupees will be spent over a period of 5 years from 2020-21 to 2024-25. The expenditure is partly funded by multilateral assistance to the tune of $50 million. A wholly owned special purpose vehicle SPV will be set up. The SPV will create and operationalize the content, marketplace and manage key business services of IGOT Karma Yogi platform. In a series of tweets, the Prime Minister Mr. Modi said that Mission Karma Yogi will radically improve the human resource management practices in the government. The Prime Minister said the mission will use scale and state-of-the-art infrastructure to augment the capacity of civil servants. He said the IGOT platform will enable the transition to a role-based HR management and continuous learning. Hailing the approval of Mission Karma Yogi by the Cabinet, Home Minister Amit Shah said it is aimed at bringing about a transformational change in civil services. He also expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi for the visionary reform. Mr. Shah said this holistic and comprehensive scheme will focus on individual as well as institutional capacity building. The Home Minister said it is a landmark reform for the 21st century which will end the culture of working in silos and bring out a new work culture. The Cabinet has also approved the introduction in Parliament of the Jammu and Kashmir Official Languages Bill 2020, in which 5 languages will be the official languages in the Union Territory. These are Urdu, Kashmiri, Dogri, Hindi and English. Briefing the media, the Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh said, inclusion of Dogri, Hindi and Kashmiri as official languages in Jammu and Kashmir is in keeping with the spirit of equality.
The inclusion of Dogri, Hindi and Kashmiri in addition to the other 2 existing languages as official languages for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, I would just suffice in saying that it is not only a fulfillment of a long-pending public demand of the region, but also in keeping with the spirit of equality which ushered after the 5th of August 2019.
There will be no question hour and private members' bills will not be taken up in the upcoming monsoon session of Parliament. The zero hour will be restricted. Notifications issued by Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha Secretariat said there will also be no breaks during the session, which will be held from 14th of this month till 1st of October. Both the houses will function on Saturdays and Sundays as well. In view of the COVID-19 pandemic, the session will be held in 2 shifts, that is 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Except for the first day, the Rajya Sabha will sit in the morning shift and the Lok Sabha will sit in the evening. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi has said that government has spoken in advance to all opposition parties for not holding question hour. Mr. Joshi said everyone except West Bengal MP Derek O'Brien has agreed to the arrangement. He said also looking at COVID risks, everyone has agreed on cutting short 0 hour to half an hour. He said government is ready to reply to unstarred questions. Mr. Joshi said government is not running away from debates and will discuss all issues as decided by Business Advisory Committee. He sought cooperation from all the parties as country is going through an unprecedented situation due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
The Gujarat government has decided to cut down the salaries of MLAs and ministers by 30% for 1 year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The government will bring a bill to this effect in the upcoming session of the State Assembly. The proposed bill will replace an ordinance issued earlier. Minister of State for Home, Pradeep Singh Jadeja, told media persons that this decision was made earlier. The Cabinet had then issued an ordinance that elected representatives will be paid 30% less salaries due to the coronavirus pandemic from April 2020 to March 2021. He said that the state government will save 6.27 crore rupees by the cut in salaries of the elected representatives. This money will be used in the fight against coronavirus. The state government has also decided to cut 30% salaries of those employees who have been retained in government services on contracts after retirement.
A 6-member central team reached Patna yesterday on a 3-day visit to assess the extent of damage caused by the floods in Bihar. The team will visit the worst affected Darbhanga, Gopalganj and Muzaffarpur districts today. The team comprises officials from the Union Ministries of Home, Agriculture and Health. The team held meetings with top officials of the state government to review the situation. The central team in different groups will visit flood-ravaged districts of the state. After visiting flood-affected areas, the team will hold a review meeting with Chief Secretary and officials of the State Disaster Management Department. The team will then return to Delhi and submit its report to the central government for assistance. Meanwhile, over 83,62,000 people spread over 16 districts are reeling under the impact of floods. 21 teams of NDRF and SDRF are carrying out relief and rescue operations. Over 5,50,000 people have been evacuated so far. Agriculture Minister Prem Kumar said standing crops spread over 7,50,000 hectares in 20 districts have been destroyed due to floods. Health Ministry today said India is witnessing an unprecedented surge in testing and over 11,70,000 tests were done in the last 24 hours. In a tweet, Health Ministry said high levels of testing sustained over a period of time in widespread areas enables early diagnosis of cases and facilitates seamless isolation and hospitalization. It said this eventually leads to low mortality rate.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to deliver keynote address at 3rd Leadership Summit of US-India Strategic Partnership Forum today. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh reaches Russia to attend Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defense Ministers meet. Cabinet approves Mission Karma Yogi National Program for Civil Services Capacity Building. Government says it is ready to reply to unstarred questions during monsoon session of Parliament. And Centre announces guidelines for resuming metro operations from 7th September. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
All India Radio presents Northeast Diary, glimpses of the news of the week from the northeastern states.
All about the region, a gateway to Southeast Asia, the developments and the destinations to look forward to.
News from the art, cultural and entertainment world of the northeastern states of India. All this and more.
Every Thursday, 5:30 to 6 p.m. in the evening on 100.1 All India Radio FM News Channel.
Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep S. Puri has announced the Standard Operating Procedure or SOP guidelines for metro operations ahead of resumption of metro services from 7th of September in a graded manner. Metros having more than one line should open different lines from 7th of this month onwards in a graded manner so that all corridors become operational by 12th of September.
The operations are being resumed in a graded manner. Those metro systems which have more than one line will open different lines starting from 7th September. in a calibrated manner so that all corridors become operational by 12 September. Daily hours of operations may also be staggered initially, and these will be increased gradually as we go along with the resumption of full revenue service by 12 September. The frequency of trains will also need to be regulated to avoid passenger overcrowding at stations and in trains.
In the first stage, Delhi Metro services will operate in 2 shifts from 7 to 11 a.m. and from 4 to 8 p.m. Normal operations will start from the 12th of this month. Metro stations and entry-exit gates in containment zones will be closed. In order to ensure social distancing, suitable markings at stations and inside trains must be done. Wearing of face mask is mandatory for all passengers and staff. Metro Rail corporations may make arrangements for supply of masks on payment basis to the persons arriving without masks. Only asymptomatic persons will be allowed to travel after thermal screening at entry into the stations. Use of smart card and cashless or online transactions will be encouraged. Health Ministry has released standard operating procedure on preventive measures to be followed while conducting examinations to contain spread of COVID-19. The generic measures include simple public health measures that are to be followed. These include physical distancing of at least 6 feet as far as feasible, mandatory face covers and masks, frequent hand washing with soap, and use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Respiratory etiquette must be strictly followed. Exam functionary and examinees may also submit self-declaration about health status at the time of entrance to the examination center. Examination hall and other common areas shall be sanitized each time before and after examination.
The Odisha government has requested the University Grants Commission to extend the 30th September deadline to conduct the final year undergraduate and postgraduate exams by 10 days. Here is the report.
Amid the rising COVID-19 caseload, the Odisha government has finally agreed to go by the UGC guidelines with a rider, though it has expressed its inability to conduct examinations within the stipulated time period while factoring in the COVID-19 wave. The government felt that sticking to the deadline would mean cramming the available exam days with more sittings, leading to crowding in the exam centers. The apprehensions that are uppermost for the government is that the impact of such crowding would cascade down to the examinees and examiners alike. Girish Chandra Das, Bhubaneswar.
In Madhya Pradesh, the state government has instructed concerned officials to establish command control rooms in each district. Our correspondent reports these control rooms will monitor people who are under home isolation and home quarantine.
The MP government has instructed that ambulance should be kept ready in every command control room. At the same time, information about health of home isolation patients must be collected at least twice a day. Madhya Pradesh has ranked 17th in the country in comparison to the active cases of corona. The recovery rate in the state has also increased to 76.4%. At present, the number of active cases in the state is 14,337. The total number of corona infected in Madhya Pradesh is 66,914, while more than 51,000 people have recovered so far. Due to relatively more infection in 9 districts including Indore, Bhopal and Gwalior, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has instructed to take special precautions in these districts. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Bihar, 1,929 new cases of COVID-19 were detected after testing 1,27,404 samples in the last 24 hours. The positivity rate has decreased to 1.51%. Over 34,30,000 tests have been conducted so far, and 1,40,234 samples were detected positive. 1,23,404 patients have recovered so far. 1,803 recoveries were reported in the last 24 hours. At present, 16,107 patients are under treatment in various hospitals. The COVID-19 recovery rate in Bihar has improved to 88%. 13 deaths were reported from various districts, taking the toll to 722 in the state.
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has stressed to ramp up COVID-19 testings in Kanpur Nagar, Varanasi, Prayagraj and Gorakhpur districts. In a review meeting, Chief Minister asserted that testing is an important component in COVID-19 control and directed officials to do 1.5 lakh tests per day without fail. The Chief Minister directed to maintain at least 48-hour oxygen backup in the COVID and non-COVID hospitals. In view of the increasing number of corona patients in Chhattisgarh, Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel has directed the officials to increase the number of beds in COVID hospitals and COVID care centres situated in Raipur and Durg districts. The Chief Minister has also instructed the officials to develop a mobile app to provide information about filled and empty beds in various hospitals.
The Tamil Nadu government has further relaxed travel restrictions in the state by permitting public transport from one district to the other from the 7th. Meanwhile, the total COVID infections in the state have reached close to 440,000 as about 6,000 people tested positive yesterday. However, the active caseload remains over 52,000. More from our correspondent.
The Tamil Nadu government on the 30th last month announced that public transport is permissible only within a district. However, it has now come forward to permit inter-district travel as well, both by the public and private operators from next Monday. The government says the decision is based on popular demand. Initially, the suburban train services were asked to remain suspended till the 15th of this month, which is now curtailed so that they can also resume their operation from the 7th. The Chennai metro train services also will be back on wheels from the same date. Jay Singh, AAR News, Chennai.
In Gujarat, 1,305 new cases of COVID-19 were recorded in the last 24 hours. AIR Ahmedabad correspondent reports that the recovery rate has further improved to 80.82%.
More than 24,84,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date, out of which 74,523 tests were carried out yesterday. Out of 1,305 new cases, the maximum 176 new cases reported from Surat city. Ahmedabad recorded 149 cases, while Jamnagar recorded 125 cases during the last 24 hours. Total cases of COVID-19 in the state have gone up to 99,050. Total patients recovered from COVID-19 have gone up to 80,054. 12 patients have lost their lives yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 in the state up to 3,048. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
One of the popular tourist destinations near Mumbai, Mathiran, has been opened for tourists from yesterday. The famous hill station was shut for tourists when the coronavirus-induced lockdown was imposed in the country in March. Our Mumbai correspondent has more details in this report.
Mathiran's entire economy is dependent on tourists. However, on March 17 this year, District Collector Nidhi Chaudhary, through an order, closed this place for tourists. Though this precaution was taken to prevent the outbreak of COVID-19, it had brought down the entire economy of Mathiran. As a part of Mission Begin Again, the hill station has been opened from yesterday for tourists. The first day saw 28 tourists visiting the place, which is rich in flora and fauna. Mayor Predna Sawant has appealed to the tourists to follow all precautionary measures and adhere to COVID-19 protocols. Madhuri Pange, AIR News, Mumbai.
In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Uma Kumar, Head of Rheumatology Department, AIMS, suggested people to follow social distancing, hand hygiene and cough etiquettes.
Corona infection, it's a new infection and nothing much is known about this virus. You call it treatment or you call it prevention. The only thing which helps is social distancing or physical distancing. Along with it, you have like hand hygiene, washing your hands very frequently, and cough etiquettes like while coughing or sneezing, just cover your face and nose. Use tissue paper or cloth, or if you don't have anything, you can just cough into your elbows.
11 teams of Indian and US scientists will soon start jointly scouting for out-of-the-box solutions ranging from novel early diagnostic tests, antiviral therapy and sensor-based symptom tracking for COVID-19.
International clinical trials published yesterday confirmed the hope that cheap, widely available steroid drugs can help seriously ill patients survive COVID-19. Based on the new evidence, the World Health Organization has issued new treatment guidance strongly recommending steroids to treat severely and critically ill patients, but not to those with mild disease. The News Services Division of All India Radio brings you a new series on Gandhian philosophy. Mahatma Gandhi was a vocal supporter of community volunteerism. His movements in various satyagrahas were hugely supported by volunteers. The father of the nation said, "The platform of service is as big as the world. It is never overcrowded." Our correspondent has filed this report.
Mahatma Gandhi saw volunteerism as a religious activity which helps the volunteers in their spiritual life while also making positive impact on the society at the same time. His quote, "Be the change you want to see," beautifully explains his key idea behind the relationship between the volunteer and the society. Gandhiji put a lot of emphasis on personal improvement and individual-led changes, while he was generally not very supportive of the large role the state plays in the modern society. Truthfulness and non-violence with very high standards of moral behavior were the traits Gandhiji cherished in volunteers associated with his movements. With Dipendra, Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
Gujarat and Chhattisgarh have been paired for implementing the centre's ambitious scheme, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Abhiyan. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Under this Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Abhiyan, the people of both the states are organizing exchange programs and cultural events in their respective state. In Gujarat, the various cultural, social and educational activities had been organized before the spread of COVID-19 in the state. Now the people of Gujarat have better understanding about the art, culture and history of Chhattisgarh. Gujarati people also like the various food dishes of Chhattisgarh. Gujaratis are very familiar with the taste of famous Chhattisgarhi food items like chila, phara, muthia, vada, bhajia, puran laddu, curry laddu and khurmi. People also found many similarities in the food items of both the states. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Google has partnered with Bangladesh Water Development Board to bring the flood warning services to the country. Announcing this on its official blog yesterday, Google said it currently covers more than 40 million people in Bangladesh and it's working to expand its coverage to the whole of the country. And now let's take a look at today's weather. The national capital Delhi is likely to witness a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature was 27 degrees Celsius and maximum will be 33 degrees. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature is likely to hover between 25 degrees Celsius and 31 degrees Celsius. Chennai is likely to witness generally cloudy sky. Minimum was 25 degrees Celsius while maximum temperature could reach 34 degrees Celsius. Kolkata may have a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius while maximum is expected to be 33 degrees. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was recorded at 26 degrees Celsius in Jammu while the maximum will be around 31 degrees. In Gilgit, the minimum temperature was 15 degrees and the maximum will be 23 degrees Celsius. Thunderstorm with rain is likely in the city today. Muzaffarabad is also likely to have thunderstorm with rain. The minimum temperature was 19 degrees Celsius and maximum is expected to be 23 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. India banning more Chinese apps has also been covered on the front pages. PUBG crashes out as India bans 118 more Chinese apps, says Business Standard, while the Pioneer writes PUBG among 118 Chinese apps banned. As the country gears up to open metro services, the Hindu reports Delhi Metro to pick up pace in 3 stages, while Hindustan Times writes Metro to open in phases for asymptomatic users. And finally, the Tribune reports of one brave girl, Kusum from Jalandhar, who fought her mobile snatchers and got back her prized possession that she used for online classes. The headline says, Dad toiled hard for phone, could not lose it, says the teen who took on the snatchers.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to deliver keynote address at third Leadership Summit of US-India Strategic and Partnership Forum today. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh reaches Russia to attend Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defense Ministers Meet. Cabinet approves Mission Karmayogi, National Program for Civil Services Capacity Building. Government says it's ready to reply to unstart questions during monsoon session of Parliament. And Centre announces guidelines for resuming metro operations from 7th of September. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.